Thank you, Stephanie. And I said for a little while back, we need something different. We need some fun. We've been doing some good Rotary the last few weeks, but we just need to get our mind off of the world. And some of you know Glen Ward. Glen has been all across the circuit, especially in the Southeast, speaking for Rotary. And I asked Glen to come be with us today. Tell us a little bit about Rotary and tell us a little bit about life and make us laugh, get us off of our world. Take us to a new world. And with that, Glen, you have the stage, man. I know he's there.
Now I think I'm
There you
can you hear me now?
There you are, man. Welcome.
Thank you, David. Thank you very, very much. Thank you for the privilege of being with you for just a few moments this morning. I will tell you that in 27 and a half years of full-time speaking all over the country, I think in 36 states now, this is the very first time that I have presented a program from my dining room where I normally sit and eat my meals, but this is great. Thank you so kindly for having me this morning. I know some of you, I recognize some of you, and some of you will be my new fellow Rotarians. But I want to tell you that it's wonderful that we can meet like this. I really do miss Rotary. It has been, like for you, several weeks since we've met now in person. And I really miss my friends. I miss the meals. I miss the fellowship. I miss the ideas, the warmth of seeing folks face to face and enjoying their presence and their company. I miss that greatly. I think most of us Rotarians are pretty gregarious folks, and we like to laugh and be with each other and shake hands and all of that. And we're missing that right now. But for me, I am a person who loves that face-to-face contact. And I know this is our new norm for right now. And hopefully we'll get back to the old norm later. But a while back, just to give you a little case in point, I was trying to book a flight on my favorite airline. I'm not going to call the name, but it rhymes with Delta. And I was doing my best to get this to work. And I book stuff online and buy stuff online just like you do. But if I have my druthers, as my grandfather would say, I would rather go online, on the phone, and talk to a living, breathing human being. So I went to my telephone and I dialed 1-800-221-1212. And I was hoping to get through to one of those nice guys or ladies who works for Delta who could help me navigate this thing and book my flight. Instead, I got the computer voice. Welcome to Delta Airlines. Due to the high call volume, you're number 34 in line. Your children will be graduated college before we get around to getting to you. So with that, I hung up the phone, and then I realized I'd made a very big mistake. So I picked up the phone again and dialed that toll-free number again. And in the interim, I thought very quickly on the fly, I'm going to do something here that's going to sort of circumnavigate, sort of go around the Delta Airlines pre-recorded voice and get right to a human being. So as soon as the thing came back and said, welcome to Delta, before it could say airlines, they program these things to speak English and Spanish and German and whatever else, but they don't program them to speak this. Before it could say airlines, I said, and the computer said, I'm sorry, what did you say? And I knew I had it. So I said, I was just making up whatever, just gobbledygook. And the computer said, I'm sorry, what did you say? And for the second time, I did it again, as if I were getting upset. And the voice came back and said, I'm sorry, we're having so much trouble understanding you. Let me connect you to a Delta representative. And I thought to myself, that's what I wanted all along, a Delta representative. So here we are meeting this way, somewhat face-to-face, but with a little warmth, hopefully. Now, people ask me as a humorist and inspirational speaker, where do I get my material? I tell them, well, I just get it from life. And that's what we humorists do. We go out, we see things, we hear things, and we gather them, and then we retell them. And so just a while back, a lady in my church here in Columbia, South Carolina, told me this for the truth. She said her son-in-law told her that he was looking at the calendar and realized that Thanksgiving fell on a Thursday this year. So I'm glad he was able to make that connection and figure that out. And then my brother, this past fall, right before Thanksgiving, was grabbing a quick meal at Waffle House, a local Waffle House. And he said to the lady, the waitress working there, he said, "Ma'am, I kind of feel sorry for you. I know that you work 24/7 and you're open all the time. Please tell me that next week during Thanksgiving, you're going to at least have the day off. They're going to at least shut down and give you one day off." She said, "Oh no, we're open 375 days a year. We're never closed." And I asked my brother if she said it with a smile, and he said no. She actually meant what she said. So that's what we do. We just gather all these things and retell them. Now, here in the South, and I see past President Jerem online with us today as well, I think Chattanooga could be included in that as well. Parts of Tennessee, North Carolina for sure, South Carolina, my home state, and Georgia, sort of the southeastern beltway. We Southerners, at least, I think we all do it, but most of us say things medically that we don't really mean. Jennifer, I'm sure you hear this often when your husband comes home from work and he says maybe something cute that a patient said, and you're not laughing at the condition at all, because sickness is never funny, but you're laughing at what people say and the way they express it. In my home area here, I have people who tell me that they can't eat spicy food anymore. And I'll ask, well, why? And they'll say, well, I have a hyena hernia. Now, I don't know, how that hyena got into that upper digestive tract, but anyhow, he's there wreaking havoc. And then sometimes people will say things like, I need you to pray for me because I'm having sleep apnea. I guess they forgot to wash their face before they went to bed and they're having trouble with that. It's not as bad as roaches of the liver, but it's close. And then one guy told me a while back that he had a compact disc in his back. I don't know what sort of music it played, Sinatra or whatever, but he has a compact disc in his back. And for the absolute truth, I kid you not, I was in Charleston, South Carolina years ago at a speaking engagement during the social hour when we were able to meet face to face with folks. And I was standing there face to face with this guy, and he started telling me about this neck operation he had had. And of course, that's not funny. But what is funny, he said to me, straight faced, he said, they had to graft some Godiva bone into my neck so that it could be fixed. I didn't break a smile. I didn't say anything, but I wanted to say, sir, if Lady Godiva donated bone to your neck operation, along about Valentine's, you're going to have a strange craving for chocolate. So somewhere along the way, we just hear these things. And let me give you one more. And by the way, for those of you who are in the medical field, pharmacy, or a nurse, a physician, or what have you, you're the ones who put me up to a lot of this because you feed this material to me oftentimes. I was in Raleigh, North Carolina years ago, and this nurse came up to me after my event, and she was being real kind and so forth, shaking my hand, and I enjoyed your program and all that. And she said, let me give you something new that you can add. And she said, I work in labor and delivery here in my hospital. And she said they wheeled in this patient, this lady, obviously getting ready to have a baby. And she said, we told that lady that she was doing really well. Her vital signs were great. Her baby's heartbeat was fine. We encouraged her to just lie there and relax. We're going to take great care of you. Your doctor's on the way. He's been called. And she said the lady looked up at her with big dilated eyes, pupils, and said, ma'am, I just want you to call my doctor again on his cell phone and get him to hurry up to this hospital. I want him to get here right away and hurry up and get here and seduce me and take care of this thing right away. And so when she told me that, we both laughed, of course. And then she went on to say, now, what I wanted to say to her, which I didn't say, was, ma'am, that happened to you a while back. So we hear these things, it's out there. And those of us who love being around people, we just can't help but see and retell these things. Now, let me move very quickly in our brief time this morning to the workplace. I was just telling my wife, I long for the day where we can just get back to the way things used to be. Working out, going to church, whatever we're doing, the norm, the real norm. But the workplace, whenever we're speaking, is always a place, usually is a place where stress can be found. Always. Years ago, about 30 years ago, I worked for a bank here in Columbia. And it was during the time when we had Gulf War I. One of the ladies with whom I worked, her husband was being sent overseas for that military conflict. There was just stress at the bank. And I found out one day that a friend of mine, this young single guy by the name of Mike, had met this young single girl at the bank by the name of Kathy, and Mike had asked Kathy out on a date. And the whole bank was just abuzz with this news. Now, the deal was this. There was somewhere tucked away in the employment manual, the bank had this discouragement of folks who work together dating each other. And this was the deal. I think they've relaxed that rule now, but back then that was the rule. So I called my buddy Mike and told him that I was the executive vice president of the bank, a guy by the name of Bob Braswell. And I could imitate Braswell's voice pretty well. So I got Mike on the phone. If you're going to do this, do it before they have any caffeine, before they're awake, and just grab them cold turkey. And he said, hello, this is Mike. May I help you? And I said, Mike, Bob Braswell, how you doing? He said, sir, I'm doing well. How are you? And I said, I'm not doing so well. The reason I'm calling you, did you ask Kathy out on a date? He said, sir, I did, but come to think about it, I probably shouldn't have done that because we work together. I said, you better believe it. What are you going to do about it? He said, sir, if you'll give me 3 minutes, I'll call her and I'll cancel that date and I'll not do anything like that again. And I asked him, I said, when are you going to take? He said, sir, give me 3 minutes. So we hung up and I speed dialed him back before he could call anyone. And I said, Mike, this is Glenn. You want to go play golf today? He said, no, I've got to get off this phone with you right now. Mr. Braswell just called me. He just blessed me out. I'm about to lose my job. He found out about this date that I have with Kathy. And then I said, did it sound kind of like this? And he didn't know what to say. And of course, I burst out laughing. The ladies with whom I worked were overhearing this. They were laughing. We all got a big laugh out of it that day. And all the stress that we had going on just sort of evaporated out of the room. Now, the reason I share that with you, sometimes people look at me kind of funny and say, Glenn, that was kind of mean, wasn't it? I said, no, because he got over it. I saw him later and he was laughing and we had a big laugh out of it. The whole point is simply this. Life bears down on us. Life throws all sorts of things at us. And when we're able to just relax a little bit and make something out of the moment, whatever it might be, it's a good thing. And I think in many ways, that's what we do at Rotary. People leave their hustle and bustle, in my case, on Mondays, about 12:30, and we meet and eat and laugh and talk and share ideas and have a grand old time with fellowship, hear a great speaker, and then we go back to the hustle and bustle. So that middle part of the day for me on Mondays is a blessing, a wonderful time. And it's a time where I would call it actually a respite of getting away from all the stress and trouble of life and just going and doing something fun. So that's what we offer. We offer a lot at Rotary, of course, the work that we do, the humanitarian deeds we do, all that we do. We could go through that list. But at the end of the day, we say that we got away for a little bit and we were in the warmth and the presence of people with whom we love. And that's what I miss about Rotary. All right, now let me hasten along. I want to do this. David encouraged me just to be myself today. Let me share this with you about music, if I may. And Lou and others of you who've heard me speak, you've heard some of these characters, but music is a lovely place to find all sorts of laughter and things to chuckle about as well. My wife loves to hear Johnny Mathis sing, and I enjoy watching him sing. I'll love you to the 12th of never, and that's a long, long time. And no, nothing happened to your audio or video. That video, that built-in little pause was Johnny Mathis, and he does that. Now, Of course, some of us are celebrating Easter, some Passover. We're in a very special time of the year right now. And just trust me on this. Turn your television on, turn the radio on. The television, really, though, so you can see this as well as hear it. You will hear the operatic voices singing right now, the beautiful songs. And somewhere along the way, you will see a man and a lady standing right beside each other. The guy's just standing there singing his heart out. No expression on his face, much at all. The lady right to his right or left, all dressed up with the beautiful voice, singing her heart out with her face doing things that the human face was not intended to do. And it looks and sounds sort of like this. The guy first. Panis angelicus, vire panis hominum. And the lady, I don't understand why they have to do the face thing. I don't understand that, but just trust me. If you turn your television on somewhere along the way, this week especially, you'll see that. A while back at Christmas time, I was driving down the road, wanted to hear a little Christmas music. I turned my radio on in my pickup truck. And yes, I have a car and I have a truck. We Southerners have trucks. And I was driving down the road at night, just wanted to hear some Christmas music. And Aaron Neville was singing Silent Night. Silent night, holy night, please I wanted to get out of my truck and see if I was dragging a limb under it or something. The vibrato had the whole thing just sort of leaping and lurching down the road. That's just the way the guy does his thing. And it's too hard not to duplicate that. One other, Willie Nelson. In times like these, I think this song would be so appropriate. Like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down. Like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down as I pass this kidney stone. Mr. Willie Nelson himself. Just having some fun with you today, my fellow Rotarians. So much more I could do and say, but I know our time is limited. Let me end on this note, if I may. David, I have my watch in front of me, and I'll stay on time. Just to sum up, what I would like to leave with you today is just a little Rotary thought. Let me share this with you in the form of a story, if I may. Years ago, here in my little town of Columbia, South Carolina, a dear elderly friend by the name of Reverend Dr. Joseph Campbell had become elderly and very sick and was placed in the Veterans Nursing Home here. And at the end of the day, I made it a point, oftentimes, to just go by and spend a little time with him in between work and home. And I really didn't do much. I was just there just to chat with him and hopefully brighten him up a little bit and cheer him along. And I would take the dinner that the nurses brought in and get it situated in front of him, and the little straw tucked down into his little milk carton and put right in front of him so that he could enjoy his meal, and had a lot of just good conversation with this dear man. Well, in time, he passed away. And one evening, I was at home with my wife and just chatting with her. And I said, you know, Denise, I really, really do miss Dr. Campbell, or Pappy Campbell, as we affectionately call him. And she said, I do too. And she shared something with me that she had never shared with me before. She said, you know, when I was a little girl, Pappy Campbell stayed in our home for a few nights. My wife's father was a minister, and Reverend Campbell was staying in their home to work alongside of her father for a few days. And she said, I had a really high fever. I was really sick. And she said, one evening, Pappy Campbell came into my room and he read me a bedtime story. And she said, he tucked a dollar bill under my pillow. And the next morning when I woke up, she said, I felt better. And I just so happened to check under my pillow, and there was this dollar bill that Pappy Campbell had placed there. And she said, I wasn't expecting that. He didn't have to do that. And I was just kind of sitting there listening to the story, and in my own analytical mind, I couldn't help but ask myself the question, isn't that a whole lot like what we do as Rotarians? We just go out and do things for people because we have the time and the opportunity to do it, and because we love people, we care about people, knowing all along that some way there's this law of reciprocity that works in all of our lives that says if we just do what we've been called to do, these acts of mercy and love and kindness, just do it. As we do it, somewhere along the way, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next week, but somewhere later in life, these blessings that we have given will come to us. I thought about the fact that that grown man, probably in his 50s or 60s, did not have to do that for my wife, but he did. But 30 years later in his life, when he was lying, as we say here in the South, flat of his back in a hospital room in a helpless condition, then I was able to go in and hopefully be a little blessing to him. That's just the way it works, and that's what we do. So I encourage you to continue on, even in these odd and unusual days, to laugh and enjoy each other's company and do the things that we Rotarians are known to do. God bless you. I love you, and I look forward to seeing you really soon. Thank you, David, for having me this morning.